Ahead this hour, the family of a former FBI agent who disappeared more than 10 years ago believes he could still be alive. A proposed city ordinance aims to regulate a lot of the vehicles you use when you're out on local beaches. We've got more coming up on that in just a bit. And it is Veterans Day. We'll run down some of today's planned activities and let you know where to get a free meal. It is all here this morning on Sunrise.
From Chris TV, this is Chris 6 News Sunrise. Live from the Chris Communications Broadcast Center in the heart of downtown Corpus Christi.
Hey, good Monday morning. Thanks so much for being with us here on Sunrise. It is the 11th day of November and a lot of activities planned this morning, some this afternoon. Things are going to change, aren't they?
We got a lot of weather to deal with. First of all, if you're in the morning, you should be okay. I expect the rain after lunchtime, but by sundown, boy, huge cold front blowing through the area. So 73, 74 as a temperature, but you see the frontal system here. It's already through Lubbock, dropping everything about 20, 30 degrees, and that will be down here maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. 4 o'clock if you're north of us up in Beeville, 6 o'clock if you're down in the Kingsville area. So either way, we've got a cold blast coming through, and we're going to talk more about it a little bit later on. But first, let's take a look at what's happening throughout the rest of the country as this cold, bitter weather rolls in.
Brutal winter conditions sweeping across the country. Dangerously cold temperatures and winter weather expected to affect over 230 million people.
But the big story won't be the cold air mass.
Very, very cold air, even cold for January.
And then near record cold Monday.
Snow already falling in Montana and moving east, stretching from Colorado all the way to Michigan. The Windy City facing several inches of snow by morning, and temperatures there could remain below the freezing mark for much of the week. And with the snow comes the coldest air of the season, overtaking 41 states. Nearly 300 records could be broken over the next 5 days. A 70-degree temperature drop coming to locales, including Topeka, Kansas, which had a high of 80 degrees and is expecting lows in the teens by Tuesday. Temperatures in the low double digits will penetrate the South from Texas to Alabama early in the week. Winter may still be a month away, but for many, it's time to bundle up now.
Well, back here at home for the second time in a week, the police department dive team has had to pull a car out of the Nueces River. Somebody drove one into the water near Labonte Park around 8 Saturday night. Now, they weren't able to get it pulled out until yesterday. Inside, they found an ice chest full of beer, along with someone's ID and a duffel bag full of clothing. Police say that car had been stolen.
Also here locally, investigators are looking into what may have caused a massive garage fire. The fire broke out just before 8 o'clock Sunday night on the 2900 block of Bronner Parkway. When firefighters got there, flames and smoke were pouring out of a detached garage apartment. Thankfully, the fire did not spread to the home, but officials say it could have been a lot worse.
Garage fires are always a dangerous kind of fire because of the contents that people keep in their garage, the paints, the aerosol cans. This gentleman sells firewood, so his garage was full of firewood.
Even with all of that firewood, fire crews were able to get it under control in about 5 minutes. No one was injured.
Well, today is Veterans Day, and there are several events that are happening around Corpus Christi. A ceremony will take place at Sherrill Park in honor of those who have served our country. The Veterans Band of Corpus Christi is scheduled to perform, and it all begins at 10 a.m. Another popular event happening later this afternoon will be aboard USS Lexington. The Salute to Veterans ceremony starts at 2 this afternoon. It will include a tribute to our military and a wreath-laying ceremony. Active veterans and reserve members of the military will also get free admission to the museum all day today.
And also happening today, Texas natives who lost their lives during the Vietnam War will be honored by the Texas Surf Museum. The museum will dedicate a Waves of Honor wall during a ceremony later this morning. The wall will feature more than 3,400 dog tags with the names of every Texan killed during the Vietnam War. The names of about 200 Coastal Bend residents will also be included on the Waves of Honor wall.
Find a way to have a focus that was more to the Texas and Coastal Bend region. And so through that, they decided to create our Waves of Honor Memorial, which honors every Texan who died in Vietnam.
The Texas Surf Museum encourages anyone who may have a family member on the wall to come be a part of their dedication ceremony. It starts at 11 o'clock this morning on the 300 block of North Water Street. And the Rotary Club of Corpus Christi will be holding a special dedication ceremony later on today. It is part of their Flags for Heroes event. For $50, anyone can sponsor a flag to recognize someone important in their lives. From military personnel, first responders, healthcare workers to teachers and spouses. The flags are on display along the bayfront.
Our past president, Alan Wilson, was putting up a flag, and a former veteran stopped by and said, "I can't believe you guys are doing this. This is awesome and amazing." He's like, the welcoming and the feeling of warmth for the veterans and the people that are around the Coastal Bend area, this is phenomenal.
Well, if you want to check it out, today's dedication ceremony will be held at Ropes Park at 5 p.m. The Flags for Heroes will be displayed until November 17th.
Meanwhile, another special Veterans Day observance is the one happening at Brewster Street Ice House downtown. Chris 6 News and Telemundo Corpus Christi are bringing a live taping of the Johnny Canales Show to Corpus Christi. Now, the Veterans Ceremony starts at 1 p.m. The show taping will run from 2 to 6. That show will feature performances by Los Palominos, Lucky Joe, Freddie Martinez, and some others. The Sunrise crew also going to stop by and say hi, and we would love to see you there. And tonight, we continue our special series, Homeless Crisis on Our Streets. Seth Kovar has a preview of his report on panhandling and the problem that it poses, especially when panhandlers can get aggressive. Take a look.
You see them all around town, people asking for money, often on street corners. Panhandling itself is a crime downtown, uptown, and on North Beach, and other ordinances are in place to combat it elsewhere. Take the aggressive panhandling ordinance. If someone asking you for money touches you or makes you afraid, they've broken the law. But get this, a Chris 6 open records request showed that there have been 0 arrests or even tickets written for aggressive panhandling. Instead, officers simply let the panhandler know he or she is violating the ordinance and leads them away. Corpus Christi police say there's something you can do to fight panhandling too.
Don't give to folks that are out there panhandling. If you want to do something good, give to a nonprofit who deals in that. They tug at your heartstrings, but so do the people who are scamming you.
Another open records request revealed that officers have written tickets for another panhandling ordinance. In order to ask for money along a road, you have to wear a reflective safety vest. In the 6 years the ordinance has been on the books, officers have written a total of 20 tickets for it. Coming up on Chris 6 News at 10 and 6, we'll look into other things police in the city are doing about panhandling. I'll also introduce you to a panhandler who uses humor in hopes of getting some cash from you. Back to you.
This morning, there is new hope for the family of a former FBI agent who disappeared more than a decade ago in Iran.
Yeah, their government is now calling this a missing persons case. That means the Islamic Republic is not looking to prosecute Robert Levinson. But the latest development does raise questions about a huge increase in the U.S. reward to bring him home. Here's more.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family of Robert Levinson.
We believe that my father is still alive, and we believe that Iran knows exactly what has happened to my father, can find him, and bring him home.
In 2007, the former FBI agent vanished from the Iranian island of Kish, last seen 8 years ago, pleading for help.
I am not in very good health. I am running very quickly out of diabetes medicine.
The Iranian government's never publicly acknowledged Levinson's disappearance. Until now, in a filing to the United Nations. A spokesperson for the foreign ministry said a case was opened on the, quote, basis of goodwill and humanitarian issues, adding that it's a file about a missing person. This days after U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo upped Levinson's reward to $25 million. Experts say the timing is no coincidence.
Iranian leaders would like to gain leverage with the Trump administration because they realize Mr. Levinson is an important asset for the United States.
For the Levinson family, he's not just an asset, but a loved one who has yet to meet his new grandchildren.
We know that he's working his best every single day to stay strong so that he can come home, meet the grandchildren that he's never met. My message to my father is to not give up.
A Trump administration official tells NBC that Iran's suggestion of an investigation is at best half-hearted, noting the only credible evidence of responsibility for Levinson's abduction points to those working for the Islamic Republic of Iran. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News, London.
Many of the family members of those who died last week after being ambushed in Mexico are back in the U.S. More than 18 cars carrying at least 100 people crossed into Arizona from Mexico early Sunday morning. Police say 9 Americans were killed on a highway by what was likely a drug cartel. 6 children survived the attack with various injuries. 3 of them remain in the hospital. A relative of the victims thinks their community was targeted.
I honestly still don't know why we were targeted. I really don't have the correct answer for that. All I know is that the innocent women and children were brutally murdered.
Now, some family members have dual citizenship and say that they are staying with relatives in Idaho and Arizona.
In other news, 2 people are dead after the Porsche they were in went airborne, crashing into the 2nd story of a building. It happened early Sunday in Toms River, New Jersey. Police say the car was speeding when the driver lost control, hit the center median, and went airborne right into the 2nd story of a realtor's office.
I mean, it's a pretty open road. There's also a lot of lights, but I know there are times where cars are driving at a fast rate, but never where I could imagine something like this happening.
Both the driver and his passenger were pronounced dead on the scene. No one in the building was hurt.
A rocket will lift off from Cape Canaveral today with a mission to put new satellites into orbit. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch with approximately 60 satellites. They'll be used in SpaceX's Starlink broadband network, which will provide reliable and affordable internet worldwide. By the way, you're looking at the Falcon 9 rocket taking off during a launch in August. That rocket has been reused and recovered for multiple missions. Today's launch window begins this morning at 8:51 our time. Wave goodbye right there.
Well, you know, that's Falcon, so that's Tesla or Elon Musk. And pretty soon those rockets are going to be leaving out of Brownsville.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
And we'll go down and watch.
You bet. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, take a look at that.
Good stuff.
Let's talk about what's happening on the road this morning. Everything's fine this morning.
Yep.
This afternoon and evening, though.
Yeah, things are going to get real complicated, Mike. I mean, we start off with the nice weather this morning. Cloudy and cool, about 70 degrees, but it's this afternoon when things really go south on us. We're going to look at 37 right about now, and down to Crosstown, no major problems. A little bit of activity right here on that's Old Brownsville right about there. So here's SPID. We go down to the south end, and Everhart seems to be doing well. It's about middle of the day, maybe after lunch is when the rain begins, and then by tonight, between 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on where you're standing, big, huge cold front comes in with 40-mile-an-hour winds. So if you're going to be out late, I'd grab the winter jacket because you're going to be needing it by tonight. We'll have more on that coming up in just a moment. And for the most up-to-date news, traffic, and weather updates, download the Chris 6 News app.
At Thomas J. Henry, we strive to...
You're watching Chris 6 News Sunrise.
Now to some health news this morning. It turns out prescription opioids are not an adequate treatment for people with arthritis. That is according to a new study from Tufts University. Researchers looked at over 11,000 adults with some form of osteoarthritis. They found while opioids did help a little bit with pain and function, they did not reduce depression or improve quality of life. Stronger opioids were even less effective because many patients could not tolerate the side effects.
It seems college students are more likely to smoke pot than their peers who are not in school. Government researchers found that marijuana use among all young adults has risen steadily over the past decade. But that increase has been much faster in college students. Those who are not in college are more likely to use other tobacco products like cigarettes and cigars.
Weight loss surgery is rare among elderly adults, but it can still be effective. Scientists in the UK followed 22 patients who underwent the procedure after the age of 65. 2 years later, they had lost 24% of their body weight and were better able to control their diabetes. And the only complications they reported were iron and vitamin D deficiencies, which can also happen in younger patients as well.
Well, if you have ever thought about becoming a personal trainer, there's a program here locally that can help you with that. Chris 6 News anchor Lee Sausley explains.
Well, good morning. Personal fitness trainers have become really popular with lots of folks, and with that in mind, Del Mar College launching a new personal training certification program for 2020. Now, this program will start this spring and will consist of 3 8-week sessions. Have yourself a great Monday. We'll see you here tonight at 6.
Tomorrow, City Council will hear about an ordinance allowing electric vehicles to be permitted in certain parts of town.
Yeah, you're talking about things like golf carts and beach buggies and even those electric scooters. Now, to find out more about that proposal, we're going to go over to City Hall this morning. Sunrise reporter Chelsea Torres is there. And Chelsea, give us an idea of what all this might entail.
Well, that proposal ordinance would be geared towards areas such as North Beach, Mustang Island, and North Padre Island. Now, in this year's Texas legislative session, they did make some changes related to these vehicles, which would allow City Council to regulate these vehicles as an allowable mode of transportation. Under certain circumstances, the operation of golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles, and unregistered off-highway vehicles will be read in front of City Council as a proposed ordinance.
We're having to work out what you can and cannot do, since the state law that allows these UTV, higher horsepower type vehicles was just enacted.
City Council member Greg Smith says these kind of vehicles can be used on beaches and should be allowed for the community.
The big majority of the community would like to see this. Now, there's some people that are concerned about having the faster vehicles on there. There's some safety concerns with it.
Some residents on the island also have questions about safety.
I even saw one driving down Whitecap the other day texting them while they were driving in Whitecap, and I honestly saw that when I was passing cautiously by them.
And other residents believe it can make transportation easier.
I think it'd be a good thing. People need to get around a little bit more. My husband's handicapped, and it would be nice to have the golf cart to get around in more areas.
If ordained by Corpus Christi City Council, these vehicles will have a posted speed limit of no more than 35 miles per hour. They must be operated during the daytime, and they must have specific safety measures, including headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, and mirrors. Now, the first reading ordinance will be set for tomorrow morning's City Council. The second reading ordinance would be set for next Tuesday on November 19th. Guys, I'll go and send it back to you in the studio.
All right, good deal.
Thanks a lot, Chelsea. Now, Mac, I must admit, the weather this weekend was spectacular.
Yeah, boy, it really turned out, Saturday and Sunday, couldn't ask for better. Today, well, we start off all right, but boy, are things going to go south on us because we're waiting for the big front, Sonia. It's coming in by tonight. In fact, right about now, while we're at 70 degrees, it's in the 60s in the hill country, but already in the 40s up in Lubbock. And this thing is diving down. It's be in the hill country by noontime and into our area by sundown tonight. Now, if you're in north up toward Beeville or Three Rivers, maybe 4 o'clock. If you're down south of Kingsville, possibly maybe 6 o'clock. But for sure, this afternoon and evening, not only are we going to get a rain with the front, but we're going to get the big, strong wind behind it. So I'm thinking the morning events should be okay for Veterans Day. The afternoon and evening, it's going to be different. You're going to have your coats handy and be ready for the rain. While it's 67 right about now, we're looking for big changes. We not only have that front coming down, but we have this area of low pressure off of the coast of Baja. This is a double whammy here. We get the cold air at the surface, and then we get all the specific moisture riding up on top of it. That's why we're looking for several days of cold, wet weather. Now here, you can see the icy mix in the pink right about there, which is basically up in Missouri and Nebraska right now. But all this from the Great Lakes down to the plains, that's all snow coming down with the big storm. Now, this is going to be one for the record books, folks. It's a very cold storm for so early in the season. They're saying this should be January, but here we are in November. Well, we already have gale advisories up for this afternoon and evening because, as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at 40-mile-an-hour land winds here for us. And sometimes as they take off out over the water where there's no friction, they speed up. So we could get gusts up to 50 miles an hour off the coast. So that's tonight as the front comes through. All of North Texas from our area to the north, all of this in brown is under a high wind advisory. And notice how the temperatures will be diving down tomorrow morning. We're looking for 37 here in the city. That'll put some of our inland areas down into the low 30s, okay? So Beeville, Three Rivers, George West, Freer, you might be real close to 32. So it's the pets, the plants, the people, and the pipes. Don't forget the pipes. And the Pope. You don't want to forget the Pope. Yeah. Make sure he stays warm. make sure he stays warm too. All right, so there it is, folks. Winter makes an early arrival this year. While we look at the big picture, you can see how the front is dropping south, but then this moisture is coming at us from the southwest. This is a weather pattern that I look for every year because this is the one that gives us the nasty weather. So it's going to give us some rain and then possible some snow. Now, not for us, but for the hill country. Notice the front coming through, and right about there we see a little bit of pink right about there in the hill country. It'll last for just a couple of hours and probably won't stay on the ground, but an icy mix is possible not only tonight, Monday night, but also Tuesday night up toward the hill country. So we start off at 78 for an afternoon high, then it drops off the table. Tomorrow morning 37, then 47 the high, and then 37 again on Wednesday, and wet and cold all the way through. Actually, we don't really expect much sunshine until the coming weekend when we see a little drier front coming in. That's your 7-day forecast brought to you by NEC Co-op Energy. And of course, it's birthday time here on Sunrise, and today we have a very special birthday. Dun, 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 dun,
Over here.
dun, 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 dun.
Come to the desk, please, and join us in saying
Sonia
happy
Hills.
birthday to Miss
Aw,
Sonia
thank
Hill.
You promised me las mañanitas.
Estas son las... Come on, Mike.
Come on, Mike.
I'm going to teach you that song before we're through here.
Well, okay. Maybe in the next 7
Okay,
years.
happy birthday. One,
Yeah.
2, 3. Happy birthday
To you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Sonia, happy birthday to you. We'll see
Aw,
you right
guys.
after this.
Dun, dun.
I'm David Zalman.
Chris 6 News Sunrise continues.
Well, happy Monday, everyone. It is Veterans Day, and Target's military discount is back just in time for the holiday. For the third year in a row, the retailer is offering a special 10% discount on one purchase to all military personnel, veterans, and their families in store and online. According to Target, the discount is available to military personnel who have either served or are currently serving in the United States Armed Forces. You can sign up for the coupon at target.com/military.
Texas Roadhouse is inviting all veteran and active duty service members to lunch on the house today. It is the 9th year Texas Roadhouse locations across the country are participating in the free lunch event. Military men and women can choose one of 10 entrees from their special Veterans Day menu. All you have to do is bring proof of service, maybe a military or VA card, or even your discharge papers. By the way, there are a lot of local businesses offering deals for veterans and active duty military today, and we've got a list of those discounts on our website. Just click on the Community tab when you go to christv.com. Well, when adopting a holiday shopping plan this year, there's something you need to keep in mind that could make gift buying just a bit harder. Details now from NBC's Chris Clackham.
Shop Belt's Black Friday leaks.
It's not your imagination. Those Christmas shopping ads debuted a lot earlier this year, but there is an explanation.
There's only 26 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas compared to last year where there were 32.
A shopping season 6 days shorter than last year means shoppers must have a plan.
Oh, whether that means you're going in store or whether that means you're shopping online.
Online shopping that's expected to be a bit more rushed this year, too.
We see the shift to online during the holiday season largely because it just makes it easier for the shopper.
Easier still for a shopper that Deloitte's Rod Seid says is more likely to be shopping online by smartphone.
The number of folks that are making a purchase on their phone go from 41% to 70% in the last 5 years. So it has become the predominant way folks are buying.
Plus, there's an advantage to starting holiday shopping now, according to Retail Me Not's Sarah Skirball.
One advantage that people might have if they start shopping earlier is that they're going to be able to spread out their budgets.
A budget that's likely to be challenged more than once this holiday season. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
So I got to say here, knowing that we are losing a week between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I don't feel badly that I had Christmas music blaring in the truck on Saturday night. I'm starting it early this year.
I never feel bad about it.
No, you know, and today with the weather turning, you're really going to feel it.
You are.
Yeah, I tell you.
I was getting ready for that.
Holiday seasons are upon us, folks, and like they said, it's a short one, so we better get to it. Well, folks, we start off with about a cloudy morning and some mild temperatures, about 70. And we'll do a little bit of traffic, but we really got to stay tuned on the weather because we got a big change coming in tonight. We're looking at 69 over on Northwest Highway, going down to 37. We'll go down to Refinery Row with no stoppages right about now. There will be some construction work, I believe, in the early part of the day until midday. After lunchtime, the rain will start picking up. And by sundown, maybe 5, 6 o'clock, depending on where you're standing, bam, a 40-mile-an-hour wind, much colder weather, probably in the 30s tomorrow morning. We'll have more on that coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. And for the most up-to-date news, traffic, and weather updates, download the Chris 6 News app.
The best time to save on a Nissan truck is now.
Experienced weather team on Chris 6 News. This is Chris 6 News Sunrise.
High school football is now over, well, the regular season anyways. And as always, there were lots of great choices for Play of the Week, but there can only be one. Here's Chris 6 reporter Jeff Dubroff with his pick.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. High school football playoffs are already here, but let's talk about the final week of the season. Maybe the best week of top plays. I had 6 plays to choose from. Last week, I can only choose 3. Here is number 1.
This is your Friday Night Fever Play of the Week, brought to you by the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week, which recognizes student athletes for their athletic and academic performance. Nominate players at playeroftheweek.com.
All right. I mean, this might be play of the year. R.J. Salas, defensive back for Alice. That's a great interception to begin with. But, oh, yes, people. He's taking this 100-plus yards to the house, but he also has traffic along the way. Look at this. Breaks multiple tackles. He's still on his feet. There he goes. Pick 6. R.J. Salas. That's your top play of the week. Might be top play of the year. Speaking of top plays of the year, that time is coming up again. Remember, Flower Bluff won it last year. Who's going to win it this year? If you have a nominee, remember, we can't get to all the games. We don't have all the videos. Send me a video if you have one. The email is on the screen. That's all for your sports this Monday morning. Alan Harwell is going to get you all caught up on what you need to know for the by-district round of the 2019 playoffs. For now, we'll see you back here tonight.
Well, the Corpus Christi City Council will be considering a measure tomorrow which allows electric vehicles in certain areas of town. Sunrise reporter Chelsea Torres joins us now from City Hall. And Chelsea, I think we're talking about golf carts and scooters and beach buggies here, right?
We are, Mike. And in those specific areas of town, we're talking about North Padre Island, Mustang Island, and North Beach. Now, in tomorrow's City Council meeting, there will be a hearing about a proposed ordinance to regulate these kind of vehicles as an allowable mode of transportation. Now, under certain circumstances, the operation of golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles, and unregistered off-highway vehicles will be read in front of City Council. City Council member Greg Smith says these kind of vehicles are used on beaches, but should also be allowed for the community on roads. If ordained by Corpus Christi City Council, these vehicles will have a posted speed limit of no more than 35 miles per hour. They must also have specific safety measures, some including headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, and mirrors.
We're having to work out what you can and cannot do since the state law that allows these UTV higher horsepower type vehicles was just enacted.
After talking to some of the community members on the island, we've found that a lot of the concerns really just come down to safety. Now, the first reading ordinance will be tomorrow morning here at City Council starting at 11 a.m. The second public hearing for this ordinance will be next Tuesday, November 19th. Mike?
All right, before that cold weather moves in tonight, you may want to take advantage of free admission to the Padre Island National Seashore today. That park normally charges a fee of $10 per vehicle for a one-day visit, but they're waiving entrance fees today in honor of Veterans Day. By the way, it is free for everybody, not just the veterans. But you better get out there early because it won't be much like beach weather tonight, I would imagine.
Yeah, it starts off fairly quiet. The morning hours are going to be okay to get out there, and for the afternoon is when things go south.
Let me mention something here. Somebody asked about, hey, are schools off today for Veterans Day? The only one I found was Flower Bluff.
That's
off. That's off for Veterans
CCID,
Day.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, everybody else is, as far as we know, most everybody else going to school. So if you have a question, call call the school district of your choice and ask.
And if the kids are going to come back late, make sure they take a jacket with them. By sundown tonight, it's going to be very different. So let's take a look at the weather as you head out the door this morning. A little cloudy and about 70 degrees, so it's not bad out there this morning. For the morning events, 10 a.m. at Sherrill Park, shouldn't have a problem. There are no significant rain echoes in the neighborhood, so I don't think we will have any rain until after lunchtime. And then sundown, well, that's a whole different can of worms here, folks. Let's take a look at your temperatures around here. We're looking at the cloud cover rolling in. It's all coming from two directions. First, we're having it come from the southwest. That's what's getting us moist. But look at this. While we're about 70, it's already 43 in Lubbock, 27 in Amarillo with snow. That's the cold front. It's going to be in the hill country at noon and into our area right about sundown. So if you're up in Beeville, it might be 4 o'clock. If you're in Kingsville, maybe 6 o'clock. Somewhere around there, you'll really know the difference because it's going to be a 40-mile-an-hour wind behind this thing. Now, there's also going to be a thin line of rain. I don't expect as much rain as we had last time, of the last front, but we will get some shower activity and the winds will start to howl. Now, at this hour, as I mentioned, there's no radar echoes in our area, so I don't think there's going to be rain before lunch. But out to the west, that's the first band coming in. And then to the north, we see the cold front dropping south. Notice right about here, this is about St. Louis, all the way down to Oklahoma. It's a little bit icy. But then above that, from Chicago all the way down to Nebraska, it is definitely snow. And there's about 100 cities that are going to set new record low temperatures out of this Arctic storm, which is very early. This is kind of a January thing. It's November. So we have a high wind advisory, gale watch actually, that after sundown or right at, we're going to see looking 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts. So it's going to be howling in all of North Texas right about here. And this brown is under a wind advisory for the winds coming in. There's the front dropping down tomorrow morning, 37 here in the city. That'll put outlying areas to the northwest around 33, 32, real close, depends on to freezing there. Now, the ice and snow that's possible in Texas, it's basically from San Antonio to Highway 90 all the way out to Del Rio. I don't expect it here, but if you happen to be driving tonight and tomorrow night northbound, you're going to run into that. So the front is in the panhandle. The area of low pressure is down here. That's pumping up that moisture on top of us. For about 4 days, we're going to be in cloudy, cold, and we're down to serious caldo weather here, folks, for about 4 days. So we're looking for the warm air to blow away. The line comes through, the winds shift. There's a little patch of snow, ice mix, maybe as close as Kerrville, Bernie, somewhere around there. But it's only for a few hours tonight. Then the second area of low pressure rolls over us. That's what gives us a second shot of ice weather the following night. And then we'll stay cloudy and cool and windy until about Thursday. It's on Thursday that we finally actually break out of the cloud cover and maybe see a little sun by the end of the week. But here is your 7-day forecast. Temperatures are going to be on the chilly side, drop into 37 tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, only 47 is a high temperature. That's your 7-day forecast brought to you by NEC Co-op Energy. We'll be back with more on Sunrise coming up after this.
If you were injured in a crash, you may be entitled to recover damages. Call Thomas J. Henry. Our attorneys are available 24/7, nights and weekends.
TheBest.com.
Welcome back on this 11th day of November. It is Veterans Day, and we want to begin by saying thank you to all of you who have served and are serving in the cause of freedom. We certainly appreciate you. There's a live look outside along SPID from our network of sky cameras. We hope that your day is off to a fantastic one. Well, the family of a former FBI agent who disappeared more than 10 years ago in Iran believes that he could still be alive. In 2007, Robert Levinson vanished from the Iranian island of Kish during an unauthorized CIA mission. Their government never publicly acknowledged his disappearance, but yesterday, a spokesperson said that Iran has opened an investigation, calling it a missing persons case. Just last week, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo upped Levinson's reward to $25 million. Experts say the timing, no coincidence.
Iranian leaders would like to gain leverage with the Trump administration because they realize Mr. Levinson is an important asset for the United States.
In a tweet posted yesterday, President Trump urged Iran to turn over Levinson, saying it would be a very positive step.
In other news, 2 people are dead after the Porsche they were in went airborne, crashing into the second story of a building. It happened yesterday on Sunday in Toms River, New Jersey. Police say the car was speeding when the driver lost control, hit the center median, and then went airborne straight into the second story of a realtor's office.
I mean, it's a pretty open road. There's also a lot of lights, but I know there are times where cars are driving at a fast rate, but never where I could imagine something like this happening.
Both the driver and his passenger were pronounced dead on the scene. No one in the building was hurt.
Well, many of the family members of those who died last week after being ambushed in Mexico are back in the U.S. More than 18 cars carrying at least 100 people crossed into Arizona from Mexico early Sunday morning. Police say 9 Americans were killed on a highway by what was likely a drug cartel. 6 children survived the attack with various injuries. 3 of them remain in a hospital. A relative of the victims thinks their community was targeted.
I honestly still don't know why we were targeted. I really don't have the correct answer for that. All I know is that the innocent women and children were brutally murdered.
Now, some family members have dual citizenship and say that they are staying with relatives there in Arizona and also in Idaho. A rocket will lift off from Cape Canaveral today with a mission to put new satellites into orbit. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch with approximately 60 satellites. They'll be used in SpaceX's Starlink broadband network, which will provide reliable and affordable internet worldwide. By the way, you're looking at the Falcon 9 rocket taking off during a launch in August. The rocket has been reused and recovered for multiple missions. Today's launch window begins this morning at 8:51 our time. We've got to take a quick break here. When we come back, another look at what else is making news this morning.
And Mac will have a final look at the forecast when we come back.
Before you open your eyes, the world has changed.
You're watching Chris 6 News Sunrise.
Welcome back. About 8 minutes away from 7 o'clock now, and the Corpus Christi Police Department dive team has had to pull a car out of the Nueces River. It's the second time in a week. Someone drove a car into the water near Labonte Park around 8 Saturday night. Now, they weren't able to get to it and pull it out until yesterday morning. Inside, they found an ice chest full of beer, along with someone's ID and a duffel bag full of clothing. Police say the car had been stolen.
And also here locally, investigators are looking into what may have caused a massive garage fire. The fire broke out just before 8 o'clock last night in the 2900 block of Bronner Parkway. When firefighters got there, flames and smoke were pouring out of a detached garage apartment. Thankfully, the fire did not spread to the home, but fire officials say it could have been a lot worse.
Garage fires are always a dangerous kind of fire because of the contents that people keep in their garage, the paints, the aerosol cans. This gentleman sells firewood, so his garage was full of firewood.
Even with all of that firewood, fire crews were still able to get it under control in about 5 minutes. No one was injured.
Well, several events are happening around Corpus Christi today in honor of Veterans Day. A ceremony will take place at Sherrill Park, and it's spotlighting those who have served our country. The Veterans Band of Corpus Christi is scheduled to perform there, and it all begins at 10 a.m. Another popular event happening later this afternoon will be aboard USS Lexington. The Salute to Veterans ceremony starts at 2 this afternoon. It'll include a tribute to our military and a wreath-laying ceremony. By the way, active veterans and reserve members of the military will also get free admission to the museum all day today.
Texas natives who lost their lives during the Vietnam War will be honored today by the Texas Surf Museum. The museum will dedicate a Waves of Honor wall during a ceremony later this morning. The wall will feature more than 3,400 dog tags with the names of every Texan killed during the Vietnam War. The names of about 200 Coastal Bend residents will be included on the Waves of Honor wall.
Find a way to have a focus that was more to the Texas and Coastal Bend region, and so through that they decided to create our Waves of Honor Memorial, which honors every Texan who died in Vietnam.
The Texas Surf Museum encourages anyone who may have a family member on the wall to come be a part of their dedication ceremony. It starts at 11 o'clock this morning on the 300 block of North Water Street. And also happening today, the Rotary Club of Corpus Christi will be holding a special dedication ceremony later today. It is part of their Flags for Heroes event. For $50, anyone can sponsor a flag to recognize someone important in their lives, from military personnel, first responders, to healthcare workers, teachers, and spouses. The flags will be displayed along the bayfront.
Our past president, Alan Wilson, was putting up a flag, and a former veteran stopped by and said, "I can't believe you guys are doing this. This is awesome and amazing." He's like, the welcoming and the feeling of warmth of the veterans and the people that are around the Coastal Bend area, this is phenomenal.
Well, if you want to take part, today's dedication ceremony will be held at Ropes Park at 5 p.m. The Flags for Heroes will be displayed until November 17th.
And Brewster Street Ice House downtown will be the site of another special observance today. Chris 6 News and Telemundo Corpus Christi are bringing a live taping of the Johnny Canales Show to Corpus Christi. The Veterans Ceremony starts at 1 this afternoon. The show taping will be from 2 to 6 p.m. The show will feature performances by Los Palominos, Lucky Joe, Freddie Martinez, and others. The Sunrise crew, we're also going to be there, so if you get a chance, come by and say hi. Well, our special series, Homeless Crisis on Our Streets, continues tonight with a report on panhandling and the problem it poses, especially when panhandlers get aggressive. Here's Seth Kovar with a preview.
You see them all around town, people asking for money, often on street corners. Panhandling itself is a crime downtown, uptown, and on North Beach, and other ordinances are in place to combat it elsewhere. Take the aggressive panhandling ordinance. If someone asking you for money touches you or makes you afraid, they've broken the law. But get this, a Chris 6 open records request showed that there have been 0 arrests or even tickets written for aggressive panhandling. Instead, officers simply let the panhandler know he or she is violating the ordinance and leads them away. Corpus Christi police say there's something you can do to fight panhandling too.
Don't give to folks that are out there panhandling. If you want to do something good, give to a nonprofit who deals in that. They tug at your heartstrings, but so do the people who are scamming you.
Another open records request revealed that officers have written tickets for another panhandling ordinance. In order to ask for money along a road, you have to wear a reflective safety vest. In the 6 years the ordinance has been on the books, officers have written a total of 20 tickets for it. Coming up on Chris 6 News at 10 and 6, we'll look into other things police in the city are doing about panhandling. I'll also introduce you to a panhandler who uses humor in hopes of getting some cash from you. Back to you.
All right, coming up on 6:58, we're going to check in with Mac a final time for a look at the changes headed our way.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, sir, folks, we start off at about 70 degrees and cloudy. By after lunch, the rain will start. And then by sundown, hello, it's the big cold front right about here. 36 in Lubbock, 29 Amarillo with snow. That cold air is going to be dropping into our area this afternoon. Now about 4 o'clock in the northern areas and about 6 o'clock down south, somewhere around there, you'll really feel that north wind. So if you're going to be out late, I would put the jacket in the back seat and have it handy. You won't need it in the morning, but you will certainly need it by tonight. We've got rain coming in from West Texas. This is fairly light. So far, our temperatures are above freezing for most of the state except for Amarillo. Up to the north, we see the ice and snow beginning to develop, and we see a big band of snow from Chicago down to the Central Plains. This is going to be a record breaker, folks. One of the coldest November storms we've had in a long time. And then the big question is, everybody here in Brown is under a high wind advisory. Not only are we looking for the cold air to drop in, but we're looking for 40-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon and evening. In fact, off the Gulf waters, we may see something stronger than that. So there are gale warnings up for mariners that should know about this. For the long-term picture, we've got cold air dropping in, and then we've got this moisture coming in on top of it. Punchline is it's going to stay on the cloudy and cold side. Tomorrow morning, 37. Tomorrow afternoon, only 47. And then 37 and 53. And looks like rain, wet, cold, nasty all the way through Friday. Looks like for the weekend, we'll finally see a little bit of clearing weather, a little cool and dry. But for the next couple of days, big changes in our weather pattern. So like I said, if you're going to events, the morning ones should be all right. But after lunchtime, do be ready for the arriving front.
All right.
Good to know, Mac. Thanks a lot. And thank you for joining us on Sunrise. We hope you have an outstanding Veterans Day.
That's right. We'll see you back here for Chris 6 News at noon.
Chris 6 News is a presentation of Chris Communications, the Coastal Bend's most watched source for local news.